curbing the academic year.
And blue.
One that will be remembered for achievements on and off campus. Academic exclusion was forced onto the national agenda, and the first concessions secured. But for students, it's a luta continua. The first salvo could be fired within weeks when students return for registration. That's anything between 5 and 10,000 rand. And even though there's no increase in 2016's fees, they are still too steep for many.
Students can't afford to pay 40 grand. Not everyone's parents are well off where they can afford that, or not everyone's parents can work towards that. I think that when we stand together as students, we're unstoppable.
We can't say we're happy with the zero fee increment because it doesn't make change for us who have been in the system, because we're still going to pay for our studies. It's just a matter of not increasing fees, but we're still going to pay.
If the agreements that were made this year are not met next year, then I think it's safe to say that we're going to be looking at more protest action and even more solidarity from around the country.
But we are saying to government, tell us when we are going to implement free education, because they are running away with murder here. When are they going to implement it? We don't know. But if they want to play hide and seek, the country will come to a standstill next year. And there won't be exams in January and April. We will just shut it down up until we get what we want.
And the push for no fees continues.
We must provide leadership where there is none, because clearly there is no leadership in the Department of Higher Education. We will assist Blade Nzimande as academics. As you can see, we are graduating. By the way, we are going to draft a document that will lead us to free education. But the fees must fall, or the zero increment, was a turning point towards socialism.
Universities are bracing themselves. They have to source funds for the 2016 shortfall and may well have an angry student community returning to campus.
For me, look, there is a concern about next year. I'd be lying to say there isn't. We are talking about how to manage protests. And if it's peaceful protests, we have no problem. But if protests go beyond the bounds of peaceful protests, then we have to understand how to ensure safety and security on the campus. And that's the balance that we have to strike.
The general economic situation is such that there is actually no capacity in the fiscus to be able to make up, and that is why after the president announced a 0% fee increase, we get calls sort of saying, can you give some of the money? Now where must we suddenly get the money when we're already in a situation of financial duress? Okay? And the third issue is chronic instability. There are some universities, I don't want to mention them by name, that for the next 5, 10, 15 years are going to be chronically unstable.
Economically viable or not, expectations have been raised.
We don't understand why we must be able to pay registration while we're still at this very, very, very serious situation. And another thing, I smell free education next year. Hence, we did manage as a collective, went through union building. Different majority of the universities in South Africa, they did comply. They came to union building, of which they heard us, those comrades, they said they're not going to increase the fees.
There is solidarity. I think there must be free rights and education, and everyone should be able to get a degree.
The policy is in place, but financial constraints are impeding implementation.
We didn't have money to actually start introducing free education for the poor. If that can be found even next year, we are ready to implement that as early as 2017. But we are saying that the commission, led by the president, may give us some indication as to what will happen 2017 going forward. But as of 2016, we are only looking at the zero fee increase. And as for 2017 going forward, that will unfold next year once government has taken a decision.
Education is a determinant of economic growth, and both government and universities want to see more graduates. But students aren't buying into the funding problem.
If students are struggling because of financial constraints, if students are struggling because of the bureaucracies of our institutions, then we'll have to find more progressive ways of then articulating those grievances of students.
Organizations who are under the banner of Fees Must Fall, such as SASCO, for instance, have put in decades of hard work to make sure that free education is attained. So that struggle and that fight will be one that's continued.
From first years to postgraduates, from Soshanguve to Stellenbosch, free education for the poor is likely to consume campuses. Escalating pressure on government and tertiary institutions. Marigate Amatabe, SABC News, Johannesburg.